So let's take a look at an example of an authentic mashal that satisfies multiple criteria for authenticity. One is the convergence of criteria that we find Aramaisms, orality, coherence, knowledge of Jewish customs contemporary with Yeshua, and so on, all clearly set forth in the saying that we're examining. Now, orality is does it really fit the definition of a true Jewish mashal from that period? A mashal is a simile, like what is X like? X is like Y. What is the kingdom of heaven like? The kingdom of heaven is like so and so. That's an orality criterion. Coherence is something like, what is the Malkuth Hashamayim like? That means we're talking about a term that was used by Yeshua and that was understood by his disciples to have a specific meaning. For example, what is the Malkuth Hashamayim like? And the answer is, it is like a mustard seed, the smallest of all seeds, and so on. What is the Malkuth Hashamayim like? It is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. In other words, the logic continues throughout the saying. It's like a landowner who went out early to hire laborers. It is like a ruler who prepared a wedding feast. These are all mashalim with coherence involved in the saying that we have passed down. Now let's take a look at one of these things, the parable, as it's so called, of the wise and foolish bridesmaids. It went like this. 10 bridesmaids took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish. This is Greek moros, is what we find in the New Testament Greek, but it's representing the Aramaic raka, empty-headed. And 5 were wise. When the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, all of them became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a shout, "Look, here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him." Then all of those bridesmaids got up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise replied, "No, there will not be enough for you and for us. You had better go to the dealers and buy some for yourself." And while they went to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went with him into the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later, the other bridesmaids came also, saying, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But he replied, "Truly I tell you, I do not know you." This is the story that's told in Matthew 25, and it's authentic. It represents the customary way that the wedding engagement and marriage banquet were carried out. It makes sense and it's coherent in terms of what Yeshua would have understood and what was actually practiced at the time. Now, Yeshua's contemporary sage, Yohanan ben Zakkai, talked about the wise and foolish servants. And this is something that is very parallel to this and shows us why we would consider this to be authentic. A king invited his servants to a banquet without stating the exact time at which it would be given. Those who were wise remembered that all things are ever ready in the palace of a king, and they arrayed themselves and sat by the palace gate, awaiting the call to enter, while those who were foolish continued their customary occupations, saying, "A banquet requires great preparation." When the king suddenly called his servants to the banquet, those who were wise appeared in a clean raiment and well adorned, while those who were foolish came in soiled and ordinary garments. The king took pleasure in seeing those who were wise, but he was full of anger at those who were foolish, saying that those who had come prepared for the banquet should sit down and eat and drink, but those who had not properly arrayed themselves should stand and look on. Um, we find this quoted in early Jewish literature from the period. It was a well-known parable, a Jewish parable, a Jewish story about the coming of Messiah and the preparations for Messiah and so on, contemporary with Yeshua. And so that gives us a very clear look at what probably would make the saying that we have quoted in Matthew probably quite authentic with Yeshua.